driving a motorcycle and pulled out a firearm, shooting someone in the passenger seat of a car at Fiddler's Canyon Road and Main Street this afternoon. Police say the victim has been taken to a local hospital in critical condition, and there's no threat to the public. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. An armed woman entered a federal building in Seattle this afternoon.
Why the woman was allegedly armed, refusing to come out of the lobby of the federal building in downtown Seattle isn't clear, but police and an FBI team negotiated with her for about an hour before she was arrested. The FBI is taking the case because it was in the FBI's lobby. There was a large law enforcement presence around the building, but the FBI says nobody was held hostage and nobody was injured. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Coming up, another day of highs near the hundreds. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 7:01.
Ready to wake up in a new destination nearly every day with Norwegian Cruise Line? Book today to get 70% off second guest to Alaska, Europe, and beyond. Plus, everyone can enjoy their vacation with free unlimited open bar, free specialty dining, and more. Visit ncl.com, call your travel advisor, or 1-888-NCL-CRUISE. Offer ends soon. Norwegian Cruise Line. Ships registry the Bahamas and USA. Restrictions apply.
The rest of my life gon' start today.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? X marks the spot. Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity Internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix. That's Xfinity Internet and Stream Saver for just $35 a month. All your favorites all in one place, only from Xfinity. So go ahead and binge some shows, stream some movies, and save some money all at the same time. For more watching and less spending, X marks the spot. Switch to Xfinity, the network made for streaming, and bring on the good stuff. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Internet offer requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity Internet or TV, and price subject to change.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Attention homeowners considering roof replacement in 2024. Light up your home this June with Master Roofing. Schedule your roof replacement by the end of June and receive a free V-Lux sun tunnel valued at $1,200. Perfect for brightening your bathrooms and hallways. Don't miss out. Visit masterroofingutah.com to schedule your free assessment and claim your free V-Lux sun tunnel. Call 801-383-0072 or visit masterroofingutah.com today. Light up your home with Master Roofing.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Still some lingering backup on I-15 heading north from American Fork past 92 and south from American Fork towards Linden. Also looking at backup south of Bluffdale on SR 68 in both directions. Open new worlds for the blind and disabled by volunteering to record books at the Utah State Library Program for the blind and disabled. Visit blindlibrary.utah.gov/volunteer. A forecasted high of 100 degrees tomorrow with clear sunny skies. This remains warm The temperatures remain warm even overnight with a low of 69 tonight and decreasing cloud coverage. Right now it is 95 and partly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
KSL at night. Some of Utah's top political specialists join a roundtable on the day's biggest stories. KSL is at 102.7 FM and on every smart speaker when you say play KSL News Radio.
Reasonable compensation.
Welcome back to KSL at night, a very special live edition of KSL at night. We are just coming in now, listeners. You may have heard there that was the press scrum with the 3rd Congressional District candidates immediately following live radio coverage here on KSL News Radio of the 3rd District Congressional Republican debate. This is Taylor Morgan again here with Adam Gardner. You're listening to KSL at night. Again, a very special live episode reacting to the 3rd Congressional District debate. Adam, glad to be here in studio with you tonight. We watched this debate together. We listened to it live. What were your reactions? What did you think?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That is my reaction. This was one of the best debates I have ever heard from the Debate Commission.
Yeah.
I have watched every single debate that they have had this year, and I will say that this was by far the most lively. The moderator, Thomas Wright, did a phenomenal job, was able to ask follow-up questions, really get into the meat of different issues. The questions seemed to be changed up. People had to think on the fly. They were personal.
Yeah.
The moderator also, before he would ask his first question to a candidate, would say a little bit about their background. And I thought that was the greatest part.
Yeah.
You got, without having to know anything about the candidates, you felt like you were getting to know them a little bit with every question that was asked.
I have been on the record, on the radio here on KSL for the last 3 days, Adam, criticizing these debates, criticizing the Utah Debate Commission, calling out what up until tonight was a absurd format. Up until this debate tonight, they had been asking the same form questions to the same candidates in all the districts. Very boring, very blah, very frankly worthless debates when it comes to informing Utah voters. All of that changed when this debate started earlier tonight, and it is a tip of the hat. I am saluting you, Utah Debate Commission, wherever you are tonight. Moderator Thomas Wright, like you said, this was incredible. This was amazing. We had different questions. We had candidate-specific questions with an intro of context with some of the bio or background of that candidate, setting up why that question was relevant for that candidate, right? We had multiple follow-up questions by the moderator. This, to me, is a huge leap forward in terms of
because it was actually a debate.
It was a debate. It was an honest debate.
It wasn't a Q&A.
It was a conversation. We got beyond the sound bites. We heard more than just talking points. You and I both, throughout this debate, remarked a few times at how candidates were struggling. They were a little, put maybe on the hot seat. They were having to think on their feet in real time and respond. That is exactly what we want to see out of these candidates, because only then, when we get beyond the memorized canned talking points, do we really get a sense of how a candidate thinks and what they personally believe rather than what they have been told to say.
Taylor, couldn't agree more. And based on this conversation, let's actually go through with the listeners and let's talk about some of those candidates that were on the stage.
Let's do
tonight.
it. Yes.
So we had one of those candidates who got a supermajority of the supermajority of the delegates at convention. That was Mike Kennedy. He's a state senator. He ran against Mitt Romney in 2018. He's well known for that. He was in the House of Representatives at the time, so he had to give up his seat. Ran against Mitt Romney, lost, and then came back to the state Senate to fill a vacancy.
Right.
And now he's back on the congressional stage, and he's doing a great job. So he did really well with the delegates.
He has 8 children. He is about to have 9 grandchildren, Adam. Just so you and our listeners know, he did say that at least 12 times in the debate. And all jesting aside, Senator Kennedy, I think that his point there is that he's a family man and he understands the needs of Utah families.
He also alluded to him being a doctor, a family physician.
Yeah.
So he's the one that's going to come in and heal the nation. Like he had a lot of good one-liners.
And I think Senator Kennedy had my favorite line of the debate.
What was it?
We're going to save it. We're going to save that for a later segment. Cliffhanger.
We got a clip.
It was so great. I love it.
Okay, the next is J.R. Byrd. He was kind of the sleeper candidate.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot of name ID. Well known up in the Uinta Basin. He was the former mayor of Roosevelt, and he was going to run for the U.S. Senate. And when John Curtis announced, he switched to the 3rd District because that created a vacancy.
Yeah.
Which I actually admire the political astuteness to make that decision.
Yes.
And kind of shift gears.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty impressive. And I thought it showed really good political acumen. So he was kind of a budget busting mayor of Roosevelt. It's a small town, a lot of cronyism. His goal was to kind of break that up. He's a successful businessman selling parts to oil companies. Then we got John Frugal Dougal. You know John Frugal Dougal?
I do know current state auditor John Frugal Dougal. I thought John performed well in this debate. He really, really hit home, of course, as to be expected, the responses to questions about the budget. In fact, Thomas Wright, the moderator in this debate, started off one of those personalized questions, first directed to John Dougal, asking about auditing the Pentagon.
And he called him Frugal Dougal.
He did.
In
the
question.
That is his official name on
and
the
it's
ballot.
on the ballot.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
Next, we have private businessman, entrepreneur, Case Lawrence. Case Lawrence, I thought, really performed well. In this
he's
debate.
A political newcomer. Really nobody knew who he was on the political
That's
front.
exactly right. But he has come in. He's done well with raising money. He has also put a lot of his personal money into this
He's
race
a wealthy guy.
to build his name ID, right? And he, I thought, performed really well. I thought he had well-reasoned conservative responses. He handled the follow-up questions really well. He never looked uncomfortable. He was very poised, very prepared, but he also came across as sincere. And then we also had Stuart Pay. Stuart Pay is the lone veteran in this race. And
Which he made clear multiple times.
Yes.
It was a good talking point.
That is something that he argued is essential in Congress, and especially right now with the retirement of Representative Chris Stewart. Of course, Utah no longer has a military veteran in our delegation, and so he made the case that we need that experience and a veteran representing not only Utahns, but to be there in general with that experience in Congress.
And he's pretty well known on the political stage. He's run for office before. He was the Republican Party chairman of Utah County.
Which is a job that I would never want. That is a thankless...
It would be the worst thing ever.
Absolutely. So all credit to Stuart Pay for that.
If you can survive that, I think you might be able to survive Congress.
Well, surviving as Utah County Republican Party chair might be as tough as being a veteran of Afghanistan in some ways, right?
What was really interesting was we didn't get to see this in any of the other debates, but let's dig in a little bit more on the follow-up questions.
Yes.
Whenever there was a question on abortion, each candidate would roughly sound the same.
Yeah.
But moderator Thomas Wright was able to say, well, do you believe in states' rights, or would you support a ban on abortion? Like, that was just an example, but it got candidates to dig a little deeper into what they believe and kind of show their cards to the voters.
It pushed them, right? This is a real question for Republicans, because if you're going to ask congressional Republican candidates what their position in on abortion, we all know what the answer will be. Yet if you try to pin them down and say, well, would if you had to choose one or the other, would you support a universal nationwide ban on abortion in Congress, or would you leave it up to the individual states? That's the question.
And that's a hard question for a Republican.
It is.
Charles, I know. I mean, Donald Trump was asked that exact same question, and he said that he didn't agree with Arizona and their kind of outdated law, but then said that he wouldn't do anything on the federal level.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get into some responses. We have a lot of audio, Adam, of responses to these questions by all 5 of these candidates. We have some great audio of follow-up answers to questions. And as I teased earlier, we have my favorite line of the entire debate coming up, perhaps, if not the next segment, the one after that. And we're going to see if we can get the moderator, Thomas Wright, actually on our show before this thing ends tonight. Listeners, you will not want to miss a minute of the next 45. Stay with us right here on KSL at Night on KSL News Radio.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
We're about to bury the needle.
High pressure's going to build back. Another round of high heat will move on in.
And it's only June.
Extra hot, extra early.
Stay updated on the steamy forecast for this week. Get a reliable KSL forecast every 10 minutes on the 9s, mornings and afternoons on KSL News Radio.
You know, when I was growing up, Tim, I thought I knew things about food. This food was good for you. This food was not good for you. Mm-hmm. Of course, that all turned out to be completely wrong, which I found out when I got my own nutritionist at SOTA Weight Loss. That's SOTA weightloss.com. She is a text away, still to this day, that I can ask her anything. And you get like a whole new education, which is what Avery said.
I feel like you're enrolling in like a school of nutrition with a whole new perspective on what food is and what it does for your body. That kind of makes the biggest difference, is it teaches people about food.
So when you go to sodaweightloss.com, you'll see a button right there. It just says request a nutritionist callback. Click on that button.
And here's the other great thing. You're going to save 15% on the program when you do and start that relationship with that nutritionist who becomes your best friend along the way while you reach your goal weight. Again, go to sodaweightloss.com. It's spelled SOTA, and it stands for State of the
Art.
Hi, this is Cameron Rising. Growing up, summer break was the best, but I've learned that a lot of kids don't feel the same. That's because summer means their school breakfast and lunch won't be available. What's awesome is the food bank helps. Join me and Les Olson IT by giving food, time, or money. Take your donations to any Les Olson IT branch or the food bank, and find more info at lesolson.com/food. Let's support our community together.
We have some exciting news to announce.
Master Electrical Service has joined Mountain Home Services.
And I can speak from experience, Deb. Mountain Home Services installed my furnace years ago, and it's been amazing.
And we know Master Electrical Service has been your trusted source for all your electrical needs, like your EV chargers, your generators, and recessed lighting.
But now that they've joined Mountain Home Services, they can help you with your HVAC, your heating and air, as well as your plumbing.
And it comes with that upfront pricing guarantee. I love the upfront pricing guarantee because it means no hidden fees.
100% satisfaction guarantee as well.
Master Electrical Service has been the name you trust since 1954.
They're the company we trust, and so can you.
Check them out now at mountainhomeutah.com.
That's mountainhomeutah.com, or give them a call at 801-543-2222. So easy to remember, 801-543-2222.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% on your choice of any 10 or more stock kitchen cabinets and countertops. And there's more. Save up to 25% on drywall gypsum boards when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Attention talcum powder users. Have you had ovarian or gynecological cancer? A proposed $8 billion plan will pay those who believe they got sick from using talc products like Johnson's baby powder and shower to shower. Johnson & Johnson maintains its products are safe. You have until July 26, 2024 to vote to accept or reject the plan. For more information, visit officialtalcclaims.com or call 888-431-4056. Paid for by LLT Management, LLC.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 13 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, or other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 90 days from a station contest or event are not eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com.
KSL at night.
Welcome back to KSL at Night. I'm Adam Gardner here with Taylor Morgan. We had a great segment. The Utah Debate Commission has really stepped up their game with this debate. They asked the tough questions, and we just finished on abortion, which is everyone's favorite topic to discuss
in a
table.
Republican congressional
Right.
debate, right? And the reason why we think this is so significant, because when this question was asked in every other debate, one of our concerns with the debates before this debate that we're reviewing, was that the previous debates all had this, they had generally the same questions,
the same response.
No follow-up questions. The questions were not tailored specifically to the races or the candidates. All of that changed tonight. I don't know what happened at the Utah Debate Commission, but somebody somehow shook things up, and I just want to applaud whatever went
Keep
down.
it up.
Because
We're
this
big fans.
debate tonight was a huge improvement. And an example of that was how moderator Thomas Wright asked this question on abortion. He didn't just ask these candidates their position on abortion, right? He asked these Republican congressional candidates if they would support A, a national ban via Congress on abortion, or B, leaving it to the states. That is a choice, and that is a real choice that members of Congress are going to potentially face in the next year, right? So only one candidate, Adam, actually said that they would oppose a national abortion ban. That was Stuart Pay.
Well, let's listen to his answer. Stuart
We
Pay.
can't allow this to start with our private lives and things like abortion. So I would not support a federal ban on abortion.
And he was the very first person to say that. I think the only person to say that he wouldn't support it, which is pretty significant. What he was saying is, I am a states' rights Republican.
Yes.
And because the Supreme Court decision was overturned, I'm going to respect that decision, and let's leave it up to the states.
And this is a good example of the real intersection of where politics meets real life policy, right? Because as a conservative Republican candidate for Congress, of course you are going to say something about abortion, and that is probably going to be very predictable. But when you are confronted with a real vote, with a real policy choice in Congress, leaving it to the states or supporting a ban, that is an actual policy choice that voters need to know how their representative, would reflect them.
So let's go through how each of them said how each of them answered the question. Kennedy said that he's pro-life. He is a pro-life professional. He's pro-life in his personal life, and that states are the laboratories of democracy. So he really focused on the states' rights aspect, but didn't go into the federal side.
He did not provide a clear answer there. Pro-life, pro-life, pro-life. States are the laboratories of democracy.
And there's no pro-choice candidate up on that stage, so you really had to differentiate yourself.
Yep.
So Case Lawrence said he is pro-life. The Dobbs decision took the responsibility out of the hands of the judiciary. So he also kind of didn't answer the question completely, but it sounded like he was ready to sort of make the decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's hard because when you're a member of Congress and you say, no, this is a states' rights issue, I would not support a federal ban, and then there's an actual bill that you get to ban abortion at the federal level.
That is a tough vote to take.
You're going to lose no matter what.
Exactly right, which is why I think this follow-up question was really so important, right? We already played the audio from Stuart Pay, who said that he would not support a federal ban, that he would leave it to the states. J.R. Byrd said that he is also pro-life and that states should have a role in this decision. He kind of equivocated a little bit. He hemmed and hawed a little bit on that answer, wasn't as clear as Stuart Pay, at least that was my understanding of it. Again, and then John Fugel-Dugel did not necessarily answer clearly either way.
But I am staunchly pro-life.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next subject of inflation. Everyone kind of gave basically the same answer on inflation, like this is caused by an overspending federal government, an out of control federal government, just printing money.
Yeah.
So that's something Republicans can kind of all
Easy
agree.
talking point. Yeah.
There's a way to differentiate yourself on that answer, and I think the best answer we received was from J.R. Byrd, the former mayor of Roosevelt, where he talked about actually lumber regulation. Let's hear this.
You know, you look at lumber. I went to San Juan County. They used to have a lumber, economy down there that has been regulated to where they've had to shut down. And this is part of the problem where we over-regulate industry and it causes shortages, and then those shortages cause high prices. And it's from the lumber and the wire and the shingles and everything that goes into it, labor that goes into building a home, that is really driving up those costs. We need to get government out of the way. We need to deregulate a lot of those industries, and we need to let the free market and the economy do its thing.
I thought that was a great response.
Yeah, that was a great response. He named a specific industry in a specific part of the 3rd Congressional District there. And I think it's a great example. And that kind of specificity only comes when you ask specific questions.
And he took it from an inflation standpoint, which everyone agreed on. And then he kind of moved into housing while staying on topic, which I thought was kind of politically brilliant. It was a great answer.
It absolutely was. Moving on, one of the parts of this debate during which I thought the moderator, Thomas Wright, was particularly brilliant was when he asked multiple follow-up questions about the budget. And this is the first version of that question that we're going to talk about right now. He later asked, well, give me one specific example of what you'll do about the budget, about spending. He continued to hold the candidates, feet to the fire.
You can't just say don't spend.
Exactly. You can't just say that. Well, I thought a particularly good response to the question about balancing the federal budget came from John Frugal-Dougal, certainly as state auditor, with his official state-sanctioned nickname Frugal on the ballot. Of course, it's great that John had a good response to this. Let's hear that.
But in addition, I will partner with anybody when it comes to balancing the budget, reining in reckless spending, and bringing accountability to the federal government.
What I like about that response, Adam, is that John Dougal did not try to put blame on congressional Democrats or on a Democrat in the White House. He said, I will work with anyone to balance the budget. I personally like that because the reason we don't have a balanced budget, frankly, is because of the zero-sum partisan politics in Congress. To have a candidate in a crowded field like this in the 3rd District, a very conservative district, to have John Frugal-Dougal saying that I will work with anyone to balance the budget because it is that important to me, I think that's important. Is that an overreaction on my part?
No, I don't think it is. I think what it shows is that he's willing to be a little bit unpopular in a Republican primary, because right now in the Republican Party and in the Democratic Party, you're not seeing so much of everyone saying, I want to work across the aisle. We used to say that all the time.
Yeah.
We don't anymore. So that's not very popular. I was really proud of John Dougal for saying that he'll work with anyone, work across the aisle.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk about Ukraine funding. National security, Ukraine funding. Whew. This was a pretty hot subject in this debate, Adam. Any immediate reactions?
They were all a little bit or a lot different. And so this was really fun. Let's go back to John Dougal about the war in Russia.
National defense is the key reason for the federal government. Pretty much everything else can be left to the states and to the people. So when it comes to Ukraine, absolutely, we need to support Ukraine. Speaker Johnson was absolutely correct. I'd rather send bullets than boys. I don't want boots on the ground. But I also want to avoid European countries exercising and invoking Article 5 of NATO, where we come to their mutual defense. We need to stop Russian aggression.
So we want to stop Russian aggression and support Ukraine. Yeah. But when a follow-up question was asked and they said, how would you have voted on Ukraine funding a couple of months ago? He said no.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is kind of fun.
Was that a bit contradictory?
Well, he tried to clarify his answer and saying, no, we're going to protect our NATO allies and we're going to get involved there, but I wouldn't have supported the funding. But what it did was these follow-up questions actually set apart everybody from each other. Yeah. So let's go to Senator Kennedy.
A few years ago, Joe Biden, in a disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, sent a message to every dictator on the planet that it was time to move because the United States president was asleep at the switch. That's part of our problem. We have international wars because we have a president who's incapable of understanding the nature of what he does or doesn't do. So when it comes to the freedom fighters throughout the world, I'm deeply supportive of all of them. God bless them in their efforts. The United States of America is a freedom-loving country, but we cannot be the police officer of the whole world.
Okay, so we cannot be the police officer of the whole world there. Does that mean we don't send money? I'm not sure exactly what his answer was.
We're going to get into a lot of that in the next segment. But just remember, listeners, as we get closer to the primary election, make sure you're staying up to date as news breaks. You can get the latest information from KSL News Radio via text. Just text news to 57500 to get started.
It is 7:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Mark Jackson. KSL's top stories, more politics tonight. It's been debate-o-rama on KSL News Radio this week. Ahead of upcoming primaries in the Beehive State tonight, the third Congressional District debate with 4 candidates participating: Roosevelt Mayor J.R. Byrd, Utah State Auditor John Dugall, State Senator Mike Kennedy, entrepreneur Case Lawrence, and attorney Stuart Pay. All agree they're firmly pro-life. On foreign policy, a famous Republican was referenced.
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
A majority support the continued efforts to help Ukraine in its war in Russia, but other countries should help pay the bills and were against the overreach of the federal government.
Brewing Utah weather. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Well, it's been a hot one today. That's another big story we're following. The National Weather Service reports the final high for the day, 99 degrees at Salt Lake International, officially making June 12th the hottest day of the year so far. KSL 5's Devin Mashuli says we hit another record this morning.
A record high minimum temperature of 71 degrees was reported, which beats the previous record high minimum temperature of 70 degrees that was set back in 2022.
Devin reports that if we hit 100 degrees tomorrow, it will be the hottest day of the year, the 8th earliest that we've ever hit 100 degrees on record. Now our top national story. The House voted to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, referring the nation's top cop for criminal charges over his refusal to turn over audio recordings of Special Counsel Hur's interview with Biden over wrongdoing in his handling of classified documents, leading to the conclusion that said the 81-year-old president presented himself as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Maybe you'll remember. And it would be difficult to convince a jury to convict. Well, Fox News reports it's highly unlikely any action will come out of it. Coming up, more road damage is reported. And wonder what that is. Maybe more buckling from the heat. It's on I-15. We'll check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time 732.
It's back, and you will be too, June 13th through the 15th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. It's the Summerfest Arts Fair, celebrating its 40th anniversary, featuring local and regional artists and musicians. You're going to love this, like you loved it before. Art, painting, ceramics, music, food. Summerfest Arts Fair is loaded with all the things you and the family love the most. Then get set for an amazing lineup of musicians featuring headliners the Lonely Hearts Club Band, Wildwood, and the Solistics. Plus, enjoy other regional musicians like Highline Drifters and Fry Pan Band. This is where local, regional, and national artists come together to celebrate the arts. So discover 165 artist booths, 38 performing groups, and 30 food vendors, along with a plein air art competition.
Does that mean
Get full details at logansummerfest.org. logansummerfest.org. Summerfest Arts Fair, June 13th through the 15th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Get full details at logansummerfest.org.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Attention homeowners considering roof replacement in 2024. Light up your home this June with Master Roofing. Schedule your roof replacement by the end of June and receive a free V-Lux sun tunnel valued at $1,200. Perfect for brightening your bathrooms and hallways. Don't miss out. Visit masterroofingutah.com to schedule your free assessment and claim your free V-Lux sun tunnel. Call 801-383-0072 or visit masterroofingutah.com today. Light up your home with Master Roofing.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair.
But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
It's back, and you will be too, June 13th through the 15th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. It's the Summerfest Arts Fair, celebrating its 40th anniversary, featuring local and regional artists and musicians. You're gonna love this, like you loved it before. Art, painting, ceramics, music, food. Summerfest Arts Fair is loaded with all the things you and the family love the most. Then get set for an amazing lineup of musicians featuring headliners the Lonely Hearts Club Band, Wildwood, and the Solistics. Plus, enjoy other regional musicians like Highline Drifters and Fry Pan Band. This is where local, regional, and national artists come together to celebrate the arts. So discover 165 artist booths, 38 performing groups, and 30 food vendors, along with a plein air art competition. Get full details at logansummerfest.org. logansummerfest.org. Summerfest Arts Fair, June 13th through the 15th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Get full details at logansummerfest.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Two places with some damage on I-15 tonight. First of all, southbound, it looks like road damage at 2100 South. A couple of left lanes are slow there. Don't see any major backups further down southbound, but road damage from buckling has occurred. Freeway on-ramp at 90th South. I do see a left lane is blocked there. Open up your world to new possibilities and a place to go, finding, exploring, and gifting for everyone at This Is The Place Heritage Park. For information and more, visit thisistheplace.org. Valley weather going to be a hot one today. It was a hot one yesterday. It's going to be a hot again tomorrow. Chances of 100 degrees. More record-breaking weather we're going to be in the forecast for Thursday. And it's cooled down a bit on Friday. We go down to the 80s by about midway through the weekend. 93 now at 7:37. I'm Mark Jackson on KSL News Radio on our 2.7 FM, 1160 AM. KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
KSL at night.
Welcome back to KSL at Night, a very special live edition of KSL at Night here on KSL News Radio. This is Taylor Morgan with Adam Gardner. Adam, we have been recapping the Republican 3rd Congressional primary election debate that was on earlier this evening at 6 p.m., and a great debate, Adam, right? One of the key takeaways you and I have been talking about tonight is that this debate was a huge improvement upon all of the other debates held up to this point.
Huge is too small.
It really is. Yeah. And I want to let listeners know that coming up in the next segment, well, we're going to be joined by the moderator, Thomas Wright, who really was brilliant in moderating this debate tonight. Listeners, I haven't said this about any of the debates yet this primary cycle, Adam, but I have to tell listeners, if you live in the 3rd Congressional District, and you are a registered Republican, and you have not yet returned your ballot, or if you have not cast your vote yet for your representative in the 3rd Congressional District, you will want to watch this debate. If you missed it here on KSL News Radio, you can certainly find it. Go to kslnewsradio.com. You can find it on social media, on our website. You can review it as in podcast format. Certainly, you're with us right now. We're glad to have you here. This debate will be very informative to helping you decide who to vote for. That is the first time I have uttered those words, Adam, throughout this primary cycle, and I'm very happy to do it.
And we've talked about this at length, where we talk about historical debates, and it's like you brought up the vice presidential debate at the University of Utah a couple years ago, and you said, Adam, what do you remember about that debate? And I said, I remember the fly.
That's the only thing that
landing
happened
on
right?
the vice president's head.
Yeah.
And you said, exactly, this is the problem. That's what we always remember. That we didn't have that this time.
Well, the only thing that anyone really has been talking about the U.S. Senate Republican debate that aired on Monday was the little kerfuffle there at the end, right? When we had Trent Staggs accusing John Curtis of insider trading. That little 10-second soundbite has taken up 99.9% of all the coverage about that debate. That is a problem. That means there wasn't anything of substance that was talked about during that debate. Again, tonight's 3rd Congressional District Republican debate was different. One of the key conversations that came up was prompted by a question by moderator Thomas Wright when he asked about the Conservative Climate Caucus. Now, that's a significant question specific to this district because Representative John Curtis, who has held the seat in the 3rd District, has been a very prominent key member of the Conservative Climate Caucus. Before John Curtis, Mia Love also led out as a Utah Republican, really championing climate change as an issue as a conservative Republican.
That Republicans should take back.
Exactly.
It should be us.
And that is what we heard from several candidates. I want to give a special shout out to State Senator Mike Kennedy, who was the very first candidate in this debate tonight to give some kudos to Congressman John Curtis. Let's listen to that.
The reality behind this is that the climate change caucus process has been running amok, pushing us into energy dependence rather than energy independence. And I believe Representative Curtis has done a good job bringing us into an opportunity to actually be at the table instead of on the menu. And so I've already agreed to be part of the Conservative Climate Caucus, and we need to unleash energy dominance.
What did you think about that? Senator Mike Kennedy, State Senator Mike Kennedy, who many would argue is perhaps the most conservative in this race among these candidates, if not the most, certainly one of the most. Yet he is proudly endorsing the work of the Conservative Climate Caucus.
He treated it like old news. Like, yeah, I've already said this
isn't
is a good
controversial.
thing.
Obviously, I'm going to be a part of that. It's a big deal.
What was surprising to me was that they waited so long. It was, I think, more than halfway through the debate where they invoked John Curtis's name.
Yeah.
And then all of the candidates kind of started doing that.
Did. Yeah.
Which was telling because that shows that as they go around and they talk to folks in their district, they know that John Curtis was very popular in their district.
That's a really good point. It's almost as if they are attempting to step into the shoes that will be left by Congressman John Curtis in a way.
And it's amazing because the Conservative Climate Caucus is a real player in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
It's huge. Most Republicans belong to it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sway there.
Yeah, and I also thought Senator Kennedy did a great job he itemized specific kinds of energy, and he made a really good point in his remarks too. He said that, listen, none of us want dirty water. None of us want dirty air. We all want that. It's a matter of how we get to it. Right?
Great point.
So I thought he made a great point there. Okay, moving on. Again, I guess I'm just a big fan of the Debate Commission tonight. I've been like their number one critic here on KSL News Radio all week long. I'm always happy to change my tune, right? We had a specific question to these candidates. It seemed it was a direct response to what happened at the end of the Senate debate between Trent Staggs and John Curtis, that allegation of insider trading. Thomas Wright, the moderator, asked these candidates if members of Congress should disclose the companies in which they own stocks. And we had, I thought, a couple great responses. Let's go first to Case Lawrence's response.
Should members of Congress be required to publicly state the names of companies they have investments in? Mr. Lawrence, yes or no?
Certainly. Members of Congress, I've mentioned earlier that faith in our institutions is at an all-time low. It should be the least we can do as Congresspeople to require transparency about finances, both our own investments, our own stock trading, but also those who contribute and donate to our campaigns. That's a small sacrifice to pay in order to encourage and further enhance people's trust in Congress, which is at an all-time low.
I thought that was a great response, Adam, and this is something that Case Lawrence mentioned several times tonight, was that Americans' trust in government institutions is at an all-time low. But he said that in a constructive way.
Right.
And I think he's absolutely right. I think it's very true. I think Americans, we do have a lack of confidence in our institutions.
Not just government.
Correct.
In our state institutions, in our religious institutions, like the trust is really dropping. But he didn't say somebody else is to blame. He said there's a way to fix this where we can restore.
And I
the
appreciated
trust.
the constructive view there rather than just criticism.
It wasn't a hateful. It wasn't
That's
a
right.
criticism. You're right.
And now, in response to that question, Adam, my favorite line of the night from State Senator Mike Kennedy.
Absolutely. Transparency. I'm entirely supportive of that. My life has been very transparent. There's no skeletons in this closet. As a doctor, I've got one in my office. It's a plastic one. It's not a real one. But I have nothing to hide, and I'd fully support this concept of full transparency financial transaction.
I love it.
It was pretty brilliant.
Oh, that was great. That was a wonderful line there. Well, listen, still a lot more to talk about. Coming up next, as I mentioned, we will be joined by the moderator of tonight's debate, Thomas Wright. I want to make sure that our listeners don't forget about KSL's Truth Test. Investigative reporter Daniela Rivera and investigative producer Annie Knox will take a deep dive into the 3rd Congressional District candidates, their responses, everything we're talking about. They are going to let all of us know if what these candidates said earlier tonight was truth or fiction. Be sure to tune in at 10 p.m. on KSL TV to find out.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
Dozens of podcasts a day, right there.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? X marks the spot. Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity Internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix. That's Xfinity Internet and Stream Saver for just $35 a month. All your favorites all in one place, only from Xfinity. So go ahead and binge some shows, stream some movies, and save some money all at the same time. For more watching and less spending, X marks the spot. Switch to Xfinity, the network made for streaming, and bring on the good stuff. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Internet offer requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity, Internet, or TV, and price subject to change.
For the right repair and the right paint, the right choice is manufacturer-certified Martins Collision Repair. Hi, I'm Tiago Martins. Many shops have ASC and ICAR-certified technicians, but few have certifications by General Motors, Nissan, Chrysler, Hyundai, Jeep, and many others, making Martins your right choice. Online at martinscollision.com, on State Street in Orem and in Salem, we work with all insurance companies.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
Hey, summer's here. Better replace your old air conditioner with up to $4,450 in incentives from First Choice Heating and Air on a new day and night system help.
Don't put it off. Have First Choice Heating and Air install a new day and night heat pump AC and furnace and get rebates and tax credits totaling as much as $4,450. You'll be cool all summer and save on your energy bills.
Hi, this is Rob Freeman. Click online to firstchoicecool.com. We have you covered.
The difference is day and night at First Choice Heating and Air.
If you want high-quality truck bed liners and accessories designed to endure the elements and last a lifetime, ask for Line-X Spray-On Protective Coatings and travel on. Line-X it. See what's possible.
Get Line-X Spray-In Bed Liner at Jordan Camper, 7000 South State in Midvale. Does your truck bed need a facelift? At Jordan Camper, not only do we carry Line-X spray-on coatings for your truck bed, but we feature tonneau covers to keep your truck bed protected and covered from the heat, cold, rain, and snow. All the major brands with full warranties. From stylish one-piece models, soft and firm folding covers, to retractable and roll-up options. Give your truck a stylish new look with a one-piece tonneau cover from ARE. Jordan Camper is the candy store for truck accessories. Come in and see what's new at 7000 South State in Midvale. Information at jordancamper.com.
pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Save $40 on select 5-gallon HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams paint, like Weather Shield, Showcase, or ceiling paint. Plus, save $10 on drywall PVA primer and get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's knows paint. Lowe's knows pros. Offers valid through 6/14. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Get Mr. Mac's Performance Missionary Package. Includes 1 performance suit, 4 and collar stretch shirts, 3 ties, 1 mission belt, 1 pair of Echo or Johnston & Murphy shoes. Just $595.
KSL at night. KSL at night.
Welcome back to KSL at Night. I'm Adam Gardner here with Taylor Morgan. Taylor, we have had a fantastic discussion breaking down and recapping the debate.
I'll tell you what, Adam, this has been a lot of fun here, this live edition of KSL at Night. You know, watching and listening to that debate live with you was, I think, it was a lot of fun because you and I had some of the same reactions. You and I both do a bit of consulting when it comes to political campaigns and these kinds of things. And
stand like this. You should say this.
I know.
Answer it this way.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. But really, I think the credit for an excellent debate tonight, really a good measure of it, has to go to the moderator, Thomas Wright. And we're very fortunate right now to be joined by Thomas Wright, moderated this debate tonight for the 3rd Congressional District. My first question, Thomas, welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. So happy to have you.
Thanks for having me on. It's good to be on with you guys.
Thomas, every other debate so far this cycle has been terrible. Okay. And this debate was amazing. What happened? Was it just you, or was there a course correction perhaps by the Utah Debate Commission?
I wasn't given any further instruction than the instruction that we initially got as a moderator, so I don't know that there was any course correction. I applaud the Utah Debate Commission because they gave me the latitude to write the questions. And so while they provided a list of questions from the committee that gets together and does that, and that was good guidance for me, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna write my own questions and my own follow-up, and I think then it will be more authentically me, and hopefully we can have a contrast of the candidates. That's what in the car driving home, I told my wife, the goal for me was to make sure they had a fair opportunity to show the differences between themselves.
Yeah.
And then that way the voters can see who they align with. So I think the ability to write the questions was big for me.
It clearly, Thomas, that was a huge thing. It made a real big difference tonight. I loved how you had specific questions for different candidates. And as part of those questions, you referred to a candidate's specific bio or background. You really provided that context and the relevance for that question to individual candidates. I thought that was incredibly well done. So hat tip to you.
Thomas.
Yeah, thanks. And that's a risky strategy too, right? Because as a former statewide candidate, you don't want to say more about somebody than you say about somebody else and alienate and upset people. But I just decided, I think it's fair the way I'm doing it, and I'm pointing out what's on their website, and I use the same words that they used on their website, so I wasn't kind of putting it in my own words. And I think it's part of the voter education, right? People are busy, and if we really want to engage people and get them to the polls and have them making informed decisions, then we ought to educate and expose the candidates' views kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
Thomas, did anything in the debate confound your expectations?
No, I was a little bit surprised. The Ukraine dialogue was interesting for me. You know where they kind of all stand on Ukraine, but I thought the follow-up question provided some really clear insight into the differences in them, and that is, if a NATO country was invaded by Putin, how would that change their answer? And at least 2 of them, and probably 3, if I understood it correctly, did say yes, it would change my mind.
Yeah,
and that surprised me. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think that many would say that, and they did.
Yeah, Thomas, those kinds of follow-up questions I think are so key, right? Because as we all know, certainly, and as you know, right, you yourself, you have been on this stage in one way or another. Many times, you've served as state chairman of the Utah Republican Party. You know also personally as a candidate what it's like to be up there in front of the bright lights on TV, on live radio, answering these questions. You asked these specific kinds of follow-up questions that I thought it held candidates' feet to the fire, but in an appropriate way. It didn't feel like you were making it personal or making it negative. How much of your experience being on that debate stage yourself did you draw upon? What was your inspiration for handling this tonight?
I think a lot. I think a lot of, you don't know how much something influences you, right? Because it's kind of just shaped who you are. But I think being a candidate, you really want to be asked good questions. And I got all the candidates together right before the debate started, right as they were counting down. I think we were under 3 minutes to go live. And I said, hey, you guys, if you guys want to spend all night doing rebuttals, we can do that. But, I think the voters want to see you talk about a myriad of issues. And if we get bogged down in rebuttals, I think the debate gets bogged down. I think people are bored.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. One of the things that confounded me was there were no rebuttals. I was shocked. I didn't think I'd make it.
I didn't even realize that, Thomas.
And
you're right.
Would you have allowed or opened the door to those if a candidate had pushed for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just told the candidates, I'm going to decide. I'm not making any commitments. But if you raise your hand and you feel like a rebuttal is there, I'm going to err on the side of giving you the benefit of the doubt. But let's not get bogged down. Let's have a civil exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
And let's contrast the differences so people can make a decision and the right person will win. So I think that, and to answer your question, I did draw a lot upon being a candidate because sometimes you get asked pretty predictable questions. You have 1 minute, and it's kind of frustrating, right? Because you don't get it all out, and you're like, man, I'm so much better than this 1 minute. Like, how do I articulate this?
Great
and so
point.
the follow-up question allows you to go a little bit deeper. And I think that's why the debate was engaging. I think they had an opportunity to just get a little deeper on some of the questions.
And we as voters are so fortunate. I live in the 3rd Congressional District. I have to speak for other Republicans I know that have said so in this district. We are so fortunate to have 5 very, very well qualified Republican candidates vying for this nomination. We have a great slate of choices here. And I thought tonight's debate really featured that, and it gave them, I think, an appropriate opportunity to really display their competencies as candidates. So I was very happy about that.
I agree with you. I think that's a great point. And I think we know them all, right? Like we're kind of like in the political world. And I thought they all came through as kind of who they are, right? I kind of felt like it was, and that's when I think you feel success as a moderator, right? It was civil. It didn't get off the rails. Nobody was at home, covering their children's eyes or they're uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah.
And best of all, everybody kind of, I think it showed. I think my personality came out as a moderator, but more importantly, I think the candidates' personalities and what they stand for and who they are as people really came out.
Yeah.
Well, and
so
it wasn't
people
like
really know who they are.
You could tell that there didn't seem to be a lot of animosity between the candidates. They seemed fine with each other, and they seemed likable and respectful, which I thought was great. But Thomas, I want to get kind of into the behind the scenes as a moderator. I want to know kind of what instructions you're given, especially on how to control a stage if it gets a little bit out of hand and people start talking over each other.
Well, the Utah Debate Commission is very professionally run. It's a great group of people who really do believe in civil engagement, and they want better dialogue, and they're doing their best to contribute. And so that's why I wanted to accept the invitation and do a good job, because I really admire that organization. I think they're doing a great job. And I think we need more debates like this for people to get to know the candidates and get off the sound bites and the direct mail pieces and the negative attacks, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to do in a direct mail piece. It's hard to do on live TV because you really want people to see you attacking somebody else.
Well, and Thomas, that prompts me to ask, as far as I heard tonight, not one single personal attack from any of the 5 candidates, not a one. I didn't hear one. Am I right?
They didn't mention each other's names. I don't think there was one reference at the end where Stuart Pay mentioned that maybe somebody else didn't live in the district, right? There was a little insinuation there.
Okay.
But other than that, no. And I thought that was a fair point. I think that's a fact. So if that matters to a voter, then great. That got pointed out. I didn't think it was inappropriate in any way, but I thought that was the only time where I really felt like that's where it went. But back to your question, the Debate Commission sends you a lot of good instructions on how to moderate. They're really well prepared. They get you on a Zoom and talk about how it's going to work and how the production works. I got there 3 hours early and got to run through and meet the producer. And, having the earbud in and having the producer talking to you while the debate's going on, is challenging. And so getting prepared and being comfortable with that matters a lot in order to moderate a debate. Otherwise, you get caught up in the timer and what they're saying in the production booth behind the stage, and you're not listening to the answer, so then you can't ask follow-up.
That's completely right. We are out of time. Thomas Wright, master
Thank you.
Master moderator.
Master
moderator.
Thank
It was
you,
fantastic. Next on KSL at Night, we're going to shift gears and talk about the Supreme Court. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It is 8 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Mark Jackson. KSL's top story. The IOC had all good things to say about us today.
The International Olympic Committee recommended us as the preferred host today. The IOC also recommended the French Alps for 2030, but Carl Stoss with the IOC complimented Utah on our preparedness.
I think Salt Lake City would be ready to start the Olympic Winter Games tomorrow.
IOC Sports Director Kit McConnell shared the sports you'll see if the games come back pending confirmation.
Bobsleigh, curling, ice hockey, luge, skating, and skiing.
We'll see who gets the final vote on the 24th of July. Claire Scott, KSL News Radio.
But first thing first is politics on KSL News Radio, and some famous Republican presidents of history were referenced tonight several times. The third Congressional District debate heard here on KSL News Radio, including the Gipper himself, Ronald Reagan.
The most scary words anybody that needs help can hear: I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
And Teddy Roosevelt.
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
For Republicans, Roosevelt Mayor J.R. Byrd, Utah State Auditor John Dougal, State Senator Mike Kennedy, and entrepreneur Case Stewart, also attorney Stuart Pay. They all agree they are pro-life with conservative values that represent Utah fiscal responsibility when it comes to out-of-control spending, and all of them support building and funding of the wall at the southern border. Our top national story, rock and roller Alice Cooper, which is his 2024 presidential campaign, releasing a new video touting his qualifications as a troubled man for troubled times.
I have absolutely no idea what to do, so I should fit right in.
Well, this is something that the rock icon has done satirically every 4 years since releasing the song Elected back in 1972. Coming up, our weather's hitting triple digits this week. We will get to the KSL forecast next. KSL News Time 8:02.
When you're getting a new roof installed, you don't want to wonder, when are they going to be done? Or even worse, what are they doing up there? You'll never have to ask when you hire IWC Roofing, because their team of certified installers will be texting you pictures from the roof. You're going to know exactly what's going on and what you're getting for your money. And on most homes, they'll do the entire job in one day. In, out, cleaned up, and they'll even power wash your driveway just to say thank you. Now, you think you'd pay a premium for this level of service, but IWC does so many roofs. They get the material for less, and they pass the savings on to you. IWC is an Owens Corning certified platinum contractor. Of course, financing is available. Even better, their summer special, up to $2,000 off your quote. But you have to make the call. $2,000 off right now. Call IWC Roofing, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690. Or go to IWCRoofingUtah.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Checking your traffic and your weather together. Brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. So I'm looking at a few problems out there. First up north in Weber County. Vehicle on fire, ID westbound at 12th East South Weber. Then in the valley, a crash clearing northbound I-15 at 1300 South. Now, we've had road buckling and or damage on I-15 in a couple of places. On-ramp at 90 at the south end of the Sandy region and southbound at 2100 North. This one is what they're calling road buckling. And then on I-80 again tonight with the delays. This one's eastbound going from the mouth to Corey. It's like construction-related. Lane restrictions in place. Partner with the pros, Les Olson IT. Yes, they are still Utah's best copier provider. Plus, get your servers, laptops, computer accessories, business telephones, and more. Visit lesolsonit.com today. Valley weather going to be awfully warm tomorrow. Hot, maybe 100 degrees. Might be record setting tomorrow as we flirt with triple digits. It'll be slightly better on Friday, but here come 80s for the weekend. It'll be a lot nicer. 91 now, still plenty warm at 8:06. I'm Mark Jackson on KSL News Radio 102.7 FM, 1160 AM. KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
KSL at Night was recorded and produced this afternoon. KSL at Night. Some of Utah's top political specialists join a roundtable on the day's biggest stories. KSL is at 102.7 FM and on every smart speaker when you say play KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to KSL at Night. This is Taylor Morgan here with Adam Gardner. Adam, we now turn our attention to the latest scandal involving United States Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito. Now, I'm not sure if you're tracking this story or not. It's hard to stay on top of all
I'm tracking.
of the Justice Alito scandals. But secret recordings of Supreme Court justices sharing their thoughts on conservatism. That should be an easier word to say. Conservatism. I should be able to say that as a Republican political consultant. It is. Yeah, the acronyms are better. Okay, we have secret recordings from Supreme Court justices, and they are sparking all kinds of outrage and controversy today, especially Justice Alito's comments.
So I'm going to push back a little bit on you where you use the word scandal.
Hey, listen, I am just trying to generate a scandal as we do in politics.
I'm going to use
Adam.
the word kerfuffle.
A kerfuffle? I like that. That's a little more interesting and maybe a little less, I don't know, ugly.
And let me tell you why.
Okay, a kerfuffle.
There isn't. When I got the alerts, I got multiple alerts, secret recordings of Justice Samuel Alito talking about God or taking our country back or something. And I was like, whoa, my interest is piqued here.
Well, the headlines did the trick
scandal,
there. Yeah.
the headlines. And as I was reading the article, I'm like, these guys were in a Supreme Court Historical Society dinner banquet.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were all kind of giving their thoughts on a question that was asked, someone posing as a conservative, but was really kind of a left-wing agitator.
Exactly.
And liked to break this type of quote-unquote news.
Lauren Windsor.
That's the name.
He was a well-known progressive, I believe, filmmaker.
And that's fine. Like, as a left-wing progressive filmmaker, I think you have a right in these venues to ask a question of your Supreme Court justices. They put themselves in this.
Yeah.
But she posed as a conservative commentator. And the response from Samuel Alito, when the question was asked about polarization in the country, he said, there's no easy solution to the country's political polarization. One side or the other is going to win. And then he said, we need to return our country to a place of godliness. I don't see anything crazy
There's
about
nothing
that.
scandalous about
He's
that.
a well-known Catholic.
Yeah.
And then the same question was asked of Justice Roberts, and Justice Roberts said, I think I'm going to push back a little bit. Like, I don't want to call ourselves a Christian nation.
Yeah.
We are a religious nation, but I don't want to do a disservice to my Jewish and Muslim friends.
Right.
We don't take those considerations when we are judging when something comes before the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We are blind.
Justice Roberts perhaps has had a little more media training.
He knows.
And he knows.
He knows how to do this.
He knows when he's in
good.
public. But again, yes, the headlines really tried to generate a bit of a scandal. It was not a scandal. In fact, it was altogether pretty boring.
Right.
And unremarkable, Adam.
And the liberal justices, I've read their books that they put out.
Yeah.
I watched their interviews, and I remember Justice Sotomayor, she went on a show and she said, you know, after some of the Supreme Court decisions, I just go into my office and I bawl, I cry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why? Like, she was fine to say that. I disagree with her. I think that's kind of bizarre. Like, you're deciding cases here. And from a conservative point of view, conservatives have not had the Supreme Court for the last 50 years. Now they do.
Yes.
And the left, I think, Democrats are seeing, like, it's not that fun.
It's
not that fun when
you
the
no
Supreme
longer
Court
dominate
rules
the Supreme Court
all the time against you.
Yeah.
And in the past 50 years, environmentalists have kind of gotten their way with the Supreme Court.
That's true.
And that's fine. Like, that's what happens. Elections have consequences, and that's who made it onto the court.
Supreme Court justices are ultimately political appointees.
Bingo.
Appointed by a partisan president and confirmed by a partisan Senate.
Exactly.
That's just how the process works. There is no magic wand, Adam, right, that is waved when a Supreme Court justice, when a judge becomes a justice, and suddenly all opinions and partisanship is waved away magically.
And
right?
on the Democratic, that's a great point. On the Democratic side, I remember when Justice Ketanji Brown was going through her confirmation, and the President of the United States said that they want someone, they wanted to nominate an African-American woman because they wanted their experiences and their life experiences to be taken into consideration when making judgments, when ruling on cases. That was their point of view.
Right.
I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I don't know if I agree to say that. It should be whatever case comes before you, even if I think X, Y, or Z. I'm here to interpret the law and the Constitution.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Sure. Well, we all play this game with Supreme Court justices.
We do. You're right.
We hold them to this false higher standard, and we don't allow for them to be humans with perspectives and life experiences.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think that there is a line, of course, right? I think that they need to be beyond reproach when it comes to the rule of law, when it comes to ethics and those things. But at the end of the day, these are human beings. They're highly intelligent, highly competent, successful human beings who come to the job with life experiences and opinions and perspectives. We're putting them there not in spite of that. We're actually putting them there because of that.
That's a great point.
And I think that we need to stop pretending like they're not human beings. I thought this conversation actually was super refreshing.
Yeah.
When I read it, I read through some of the quotes and the difference between what Samuel Alito said versus how Justice Roberts kind of added a little bit of nuance. I really
Which is the whole point of the Supreme Court.
That's exactly right. And you could imagine what I thought of when I read this. In Rolling Stone has the detailed coverage of the recording of the conversation, the transcript, Rolling Stone magazine, that is. When I read through some of that, my thought was, to be a fly on the wall at lunch with all of the justices, like just being honest and sharing their opinions off the record. How fascinating would that be? How much would you learn, right?
In Utah, there have been 2 instances that I've been able to participate in where Justice Neil Gorsuch came. I think it was the Orrin Hatch Institute put this on. Neil Gorsuch came to BYU, and Clarence Thomas came to Salt Lake. I bought tickets. Anyone could go.
There you go.
They told me not to record.
Those were slightly less expensive than the Romney E2 Summit. Okay,
they were a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
but I bought tickets and I went, and you get their autographed book, and I've read both of their books.
Yeah,
they talked about God and their beliefs throughout them. Yeah. Republicans nominated these folks for their life experiences and their beliefs.
Definitely,
and Democrats do the same thing. And Clarence Thomas was very open and free in talking about different aspects of the court.
Yeah.
Some were a little
fascinating.
Some were a little not scandalous, but I was like, oh, I didn't know that about Justice so and so. And it seemed they all do that. And so yes, this can be taken as a scandal because I believe the Democrats are going to use it to try and impose court packing or a standard of their own ethics on the Supreme Court.
That's right.
So they're trying to add up these scandals to equate to something.
That's right. Let me ask you this, Adam, if I can ask an awkward personal question. Not how's your marriage? I'll ask that another time. But how is your relationship with your neighbors? Have you ever had a difficult neighbor?
So I never have. I actually moved because of my last neighbor, but my current neighbors are great.
Oh, so you have had an experience with a neighbor. I right now get along with all my neighbors. However, I think listeners, many of you may be able to empathize a little bit with Samuel Alito and his wife when it comes to having a bit of a controversy with some neighbors that has led to some weird choices at the Alito household with the flagpole. Again, I think it's a lot of silliness. I don't think it's a huge scandal, and I think you're right, Adam. I think we have some folks in Congress who are trying to add up a lot of kerfuffles to try to create a scandal that isn't real. That's at least my opinion of it. So coming up next here on KSL at night, Congress is going after Attorney General Merrick Garland. Republicans in Congress are over his refusal to hand over recordings between President Biden and Special Counsel Robert Hur. Stay with us.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
We're about to bury the needle.
High pressure is going to build back. Another round of high heat will move on in.
And it's only June.
Extra hot, extra early.
Stay updated on the steamy forecast for this week. Get a reliable KSL forecast every 10 minutes on the 9s, mornings and afternoons on KSL News Radio.
How many of you have been waiting months or even years to get a crown, but don't have $1,200 to $1,500 to get one? Only Crowns offers same-day crowns at a fraction of the cost of your dentist. Plus, you're in and out in under 90 minutes. Save your money and save your time with Only Crowns. They provide an unmatched lifetime warranty. No dental insurance? No problem. Don't let the price of a crown keep you from enjoying good dental health. Only Crowns is here, and there's nothing like it anywhere in Utah. Done fast, done right, just $6.99 per tooth. They'll offer a limited exam, all the x-rays needed, plus a full zirconia crown with a lifetime warranty and no hidden fees. No one else offers that, and it's yours with Only Crowns. Visit Only Crowns next to Shields and Sandy or online at onlycrowns.com and get details, including how to score a Stanley mug for the first 100 appointments, along with a chance to win an electric bike. No purchase necessary. Onlycrowns.com. That's onlycrowns.com.
You've been working so hard to keep your lawn and garden looking good. Maybe it's time to make your home look incredible with new window frames and double-pane glass from Advanced Window Products. If you can imagine it, they can create it at their factory in Salt Lake City. Any style, any color, security enhancements to keep your family safe. All this and factory direct pricing. You're buying local and paying less. So seal up your home and reap the energy savings with Advanced Window Products, where they've been creating windows for 38 years. No subcontractors, they're not resellers. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. And right now at their summer special, get an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They offer 0% financing and even buy now, pay later. Busy season's just hitting. Call now. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off. But you have to call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or go to advancedwindowsusa.com.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
KSL at night.
Welcome back to KSL at Night. I'm Adam Gardner here with Taylor Morgan. We're talking about a very interesting, I think, kind of newer situation in Congress where House Republicans voted to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt. We have KSL News legal analyst Greg Skordas with us. Greg, thanks so much for being on the show.
Hey, it's nice to be with you guys.
Before we get into all the legal specifics here, we do have a couple of quotes from Washington today from House Speaker Mike Johnson.
We have to defend the Constitution. We have to defend the authority of Congress. We can't allow the Department of Justice, an executive branch agency, to hide information from Congress. The Attorney General doesn't get to decide whether he hides the tape.
Okay. First of all, we have congressional Republicans here. Speaker Mike Johnson, of course, in the House. Republicans want to hold Merrick Garland in contempt for not producing this tape. Greg, can you give our listeners a little bit of background about what is the tape? What is the evidence in question here?
Yeah, so if you recall, and this will take just a minute, former President Trump was investigated and is now being prosecuted for having sensitive documents at his Mar-a-Lago home after he left the presidency. And that caused a lot of concern, a lot of consternation. And shortly after he was charged, we learned that President Biden had some sensitive documents as well at his home. And if you recall, they were in his garage, in his Corvette or something. And so he was investigated as well. Now, the Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed special counsel, this Hur, to look at the case, Robert Hur, to do the investigation. And he did the investigation. He completed the investigation, and he determined that there was not enough evidence to prosecute the president. And if you recall, his report was a little bit critical of President Biden and his memory and some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
And so House Republicans have said, hey, we want to see your investigation. We want to be privy to all of that. The Department of Justice turned over the investigation and turned over a transcript of an interview that Robert Hur had with President Biden, but didn't turn over the actual tape. And so Congress is now saying, no, we want all of the investigation, including the tape. The Department of Justice, especially Merrick Garland, has resisted that, claiming executive privilege. And that's where we are now. And so the House is now voting to hold him in contempt, or at least have a hearing to see whether or not he will be held in contempt or actually referred to his own department for prosecution criminally.
Ah, interesting. Okay, let's talk about contempt of Congress. Now that we know the stakes here, this evidence that Attorney General Merrick Garland is not producing, Congress may decide to hold him in contempt. That decision has not yet been made. That vote has not yet been taken, Greg. Is that correct?
Right. They voted to start the proceedings and to have him held in contempt. But I think they need to take it to the floor and have a full-on vote on the matter. But it was a congressional committee that voted to at least start this inquiry right now.
Yeah. Adam, have you ever been held in contempt of Congress?
Not really. My resume is not that long.
Okay.
But what I'm wondering, Greg, is Congress does not have the power to, like, Congress itself does not have the power to arrest and charge anybody. So anytime, is that right? Do they have to refer that to the Department of Justice every time?
Yes, they do. And in fact, if you recall, Steve Bannon, Trump's ally, was held in contempt of Congress in 2022. He was ordered to report to jail on July 1st. He'll be going. A former top aide of Trump, Peter Navarro, was held in contempt of Congress for defying records. He was sentenced to prison for 4 years. So they can have you held in contempt, but then they refer it back to the Justice Department to decide whether and to what extent criminal charges could be filed. So, yes, you're in contempt of Congress, just like if a court issues an order and you're held in contempt of court. The court isn't really law enforcement. They'll refer it to an agency to do an independent investigation.
And you will not be invited to play on the Congressional baseball team, Adam. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
In Congress today, you never know.
That's true.
That could actually be the case.
Depends on your game, I think. Yeah.
Greg, do Republicans have a case here?
Probably not. I mean, I also think that both sides are being a little bit petty because the Justice Department
come on, not in Congress, Greg.
Sorry. The Justice Department did turn over everything except the actual tape. They turned over a transcript. So once you get to that point, why not just turn over everything? On the flip side, Congress has a transcript of the entire interview. So what good does the tape do? So I think both sides are being petty about something that has already been disclosed for the most part. I mean, a transcript of the interview versus the actual tape itself, I mean, what's the difference? And so I kind of look at both sides and say, well, wait a minute, you're really being silly here.
Is this a VHS tape, or is there a problem with actually playing it? Is that the issue?
So
no, there's no problem at all. They're claiming that the president is exercising what's called executive privilege, saying, look, there are things that happen when you're in office that should be privileged, and maybe when he's no longer president, you can have those. But for the time being, it's sensitive information and shouldn't have to be disclosed.
But you bring up a good point because we're saying, no, this is privilege. This is executive information. But here's the transcript of everything that happened. And so the Republicans are making the case by reading the Robert Hur investigation that it was really, Robert Hur said, if we take this guy to trial, if we take President Biden to trial, we think they're going to see him as a sweet old man who just forgets everything and isn't quite there. And so are Republicans making the case, we want the recordings because we actually want to hear if he is with it, or if you guys are just adding your own, like he's slurring his speech maybe, and we don't know what words he's saying, so someone's dictating it and just adding their own words.
Incredible campaign video content generated by that video going public.
Is that a reasonable suspicion, Greg?
No, I mean, I think the bottom line is that the Republicans are trying to get it to embarrass the president.
Right,
and the
right.
Justice Department's trying to keep it away from them because it could be embarrassing to the president. Like I say, both sides are taking a very silly stance to this. And who knows where it's going to shake out.
Well, but, ultimately, the Republicans in the House with a one-vote majority, I mean, it's very unlikely that they get a resolution to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. It's unlikely they get that resolution passed on the floor of the House to start with. However, like you mentioned, Greg, it is definitely possible that executive privilege can be the ultimate roadblock or essentially shield that would protect any video content from going public.
But even if they get it, Greg, if they pass this thing and they refer it to the Department of Justice, I want to know what that process is like, because the Attorney General himself is the one being held in contempt. So obviously he's not going to make the final decision of, no, we're not going to handle this. Does that go to an underling? Does that go to a deputy? How does that process work?
Right. It'll go to the Washington, D.C.'s Attorney General, who is, although he's within the Department of Justice, he can act independent of them, and he'll be almost like a special counsel. where he or she will make the decision as to whether or not they can even prosecute the case, and whether, like Robert Hur, who decided, as Taylor just said, there's no way we can win this case against President Biden. There's not enough evidence here. The Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. will make a similar inquiry and probably come up with the same conclusion.
Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst. Greg, we're so grateful to have you on speed dial to help walk us through some of these very...
it's like I'm in law school. Every time I talk to Greg,
it's amazing.
It's fantastic.
It's wonderful. He's also on my speed dial, Adam, just in case I ever need a good defense attorney. And, that's probably, it's not a matter of if, but when. And KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas, thanks so much for joining us tonight here on KSL at Night.
You bet. Anytime.
Thanks, Greg. Have you ever signed up for KSL News Radio text alerts yet? You can get the latest breaking news from KSL News Radio via text. Get started by texting news to 57500. Next on KSL at Night, fundraising can play a major role in whether a candidate wins an election. And in Utah, a deeply red state, there's an interesting development in fundraising for the presidential race. We'll dig into it after the break.
It is 8:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Mark Jackson. KSL Top Stories. More politics on KSL News Radio, as that has been debate-o-rama this week ahead of upcoming primary races. Tonight, the 3rd Congressional District debate. 4 candidates participating: Roosevelt Mayor J.R. Byrd, Utah State Auditor John Dougal, State Senator Mike Kennedy, entrepreneur Case Lawrence, and attorney Stuart Pay. Debate moderator Thomas Wright, who served as co-chair of the Utah Debate Commission on KSL at Night, afterwards saying he was most surprised by at least one topic all seemed to agree on.
The Ukraine dialogue was interesting for me. You know where they kind of all stand on Ukraine, but I thought the follow-up question provided some really clear insight into the differences. If a NATO country was invaded by Putin, how would that change their answer? And at least 2 of them, and probably 3, if I understood it correctly, did say, yes, it would change my mind.
Voters must cast ballots by June 25th. Police in Cedar City say they have a suspect in custody accused in a road rage-fueled shooting. The suspect reportedly driving a motorcycle and pulled out a firearm, shot someone on the passenger side of a car at Fiddler's Canyon Road and Main Street this afternoon. Police say the victim was taken to a local hospital in critical condition. Top national story. There were some tense moments in the lobby of a federal building in Seattle today.
Why the woman was allegedly armed, refusing to come out of the lobby of the federal building in downtown Seattle isn't clear, but police and an FBI team negotiated with her for about an hour before she was arrested. The FBI is taking the case because it was in the FBI's lobby. There was a large law enforcement presence around the building, but the FBI says nobody was held hostage and nobody was injured. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Coming up, couple places with road damage. Maybe the heat also helped buckle a stretch of I-15. Plus, we have delays in Parley's Camp. All of that, details next. KSL News Time, 8:32.
Strength comes from confidence. Financial strength comes from knowing you have the best financial resources backing you up. And that starts at Hercules Credit Union. Hercules Credit Union has a new promotional rate of 4.25% on balances. In addition, you'll earn points each time you use your Gold Tier checking debit card. Up to 3 times the points on some categories like grocery. Points can be redeemed for cash back, travel, and gift cards. You're a valued customer, and Hercules professionals want you to always feel that way. You'll have peace of mind with a Hercules checking account with free credit monitoring and no monthly fees. Start at HerculesCU.com. HerculesCU.com. And begin to learn more about Gold Tier checking. HerculesCU.com. Hercules Credit Union. Growing stronger together. Equal housing lender and insured by the NCUA.
Alpine Home Medical. We bring wellness home.
Do you find it exhausting getting up from your favorite chair every day? Say goodbye to discomfort and hello to a world of ease. Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and you have so many options when buying a lift chair. For the highest quality, always come to Alpine. Our lift chairs are more than just furniture. They're your ticket to independence and relaxation. Plus, with our spring savings event, we've just marked down some of our chairs that are ready for you to take home. With an unbelievable warranty, you can shop with confidence knowing your comfort is our priority. So stop by any of our 11 locations today and explore our high-quality inventory, or visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Put your phone on D&D. That means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Couple of problems, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. So latest wreck is going to be on the West Belt, 215 southbound on-ramp at 3500 south. And we've had a couple of places where the road has buckled or there has been damage, and that includes southbound I-15 at SR 201. You have some delays at the Spaghetti Bowl on I-80 eastbound. Now it looks like potential trouble just after State Street. And in Parley's Canyon again tonight with construction-related lane restrictions causing delays from the mouth out to the quarry. Lagoon is Utah's home for summer fun. Get all the fun and excitement at Lagoon. Great rides, games, and adventure. Open daily. Visit lagoonpark.com for hours and to purchase tickets. Valley weather's going to be awfully hot tomorrow. 100 degrees possible. Could set some more records. 93 for Friday, and then 90s into the 80s through the weekend. So a gradual cool front is moving in to cool things down. We're still mighty hot at 90 degrees downtown. I'm Mark Jackson at KSL News Radio on our 2.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Trail mix, beef jerky, mixing all the soda flavors at the gas station soda machine. Snacks are better on the road. The gas is better when it's top tier. And the pit stop is better when there's a dinosaur there. Love the filler moments at a Sinclair gas station near you with DinoCare, our top tier gasoline. Some sweet and salty snacks for the commute and a big green dino for the memories. Find a gas station near you at sinclairoil.com. Sinclair, fill up your life.
KSL at Night.
Welcome back to KSL at Night. This is Taylor Morgan with Adam Gardner. Adam, a story that came out just recently in the Deseret News about fundraising here in Utah by presidential candidates. It turns out that President Biden has a lead in fundraising from Utah donors over former President Donald Trump. Any initial reactions to that news?
Well, I guess I have two initial reactions. One is that may not matter. But two, if it does matter, what's interesting is you can actually, that's a tangible win for the Biden campaign where they can see the amount in dollars of support that one candidate has over the other. And it seems like Biden is leading that. Now, Trump was actually scheduled to come to Utah for a fundraiser, a Utah-specific fundraiser. And at that event, and I'm just thinking back to when Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came to Utah. In one day, he raised $1 million from Utahns.
Yes.
And I don't think Trump is that high right now of raising $1 million, or maybe it's more. But what's going to be interesting is when he comes, what is Utah support when he's here in person?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And in fairness, you're right. Former President Trump was scheduled for a personal fundraising stop here in Utah this month. That was postponed due to the new debate schedule that he committed to alongside with President Biden. So that has been postponed. Also, in fairness, background here, Joe Biden was here personally for a fundraising stop. Also,
came to Park City.
That's exactly right, Park City. First Lady Jill Biden was also here recently at the beginning of the year for another fundraising stop. So the Bidens have done 2 personal fundraising stops in Park City so far, just within the last several months. Former President Trump has not done a personal stop yet. Here are the numbers, though. With that in mind, perhaps we actually might give an edge to former President Trump when we know those facts. With that background, Donald Trump still, in this same reporting period, this quarter, Donald Trump raised $750,000 from Utah donors. President Biden raised just over $1 million. So it's not like Joe Biden has a huge fundraising lead from Utah donors right now, despite the 2 personal stops, one by President Biden, one by First Lady Jill Biden. Donald Trump is still pretty close, especially knowing that he has not even made a personal visit yet.
That's a great point. It's also worth noting that in the grand scheme of things, on the day, well, just the day or a couple days after Donald Trump was convicted of those felonies, his total and the Republican National Committee raised $141 million in just a couple of days.
Listen, I'm not undermining the justice system or these trials. Justice should be served. However, at the same time, the unintended consequence, I think, of these criminal trials, these civil trials also against former President Trump, he is just cashing in, right? These trials are generating huge fundraising numbers for him. Now, in fairness, they're also creating huge legal bills that he's using the fundraising to pay for. He's using
all of that money to pay for them.
But he's also, in a way, paying for a ton of media coverage that you really can't buy.
I think when in 2016 when he ran, it was something like $2.7 billion in free media that he got.
And he's getting it again. Yes.
Which is why I think during those trials, he kept saying things and speaking out of turn so the judge would find him in contempt and actually put him in jail.
Yeah.
I think he was like, if I could get thrown in jail here, think of the amount of money and publicity I could get.
It is the train wreck. It is the circus that none of us can look away from. We're talking about it again right now. Listen, we are all being played like a fiddle by former President Trump. And, of course, as we have said in the past here, Adam, the Democrats fight fire with oxygen, and they're only helping him. So it all is coming together in a way that I think will help Donald Trump raise more and more money. But, again, historically, Park City, Utah has been one of the most lucrative ATM machines for Democratic candidates in the country.
Right.
And so I expect President Biden and others to continue to come here. Do you think, though, given what Mitt Romney has done recently with his summit in Deer Valley, is Park City on the map for Republicans nationally as much as it is for Democrats, or is there a future for that?
That's a good question. In fact, the summit is called E2. He holds it every year. Republicans and Democrats come to Park City, to Deer Valley, and they meet and talk about issues of the day. I don't know. I'm not rich enough to have ever been invited.
What does it cost to get into that, Adam?
I don't know. No one's ever.
I know Senator Romney. So if you're not there,
I always wanted to work that event when I used to work for him.
Yeah,
and I was always told that's against Senate ethics. You can't
because you were a government staffer.
Because I was a government staffer,
that's right.
So that was fine. But what we did this last year,
you're safe now.
I'm totally safe.
Yeah.
I just need the money. So what happened last summit is a couple of friends and we actually wanted to hold events for every presidential candidate that was there.
Okay.
It was right around when right around October 7th. So it was not a great time.
Yeah.
But we were able to hold an event for Chris Christie, for Governor Christie. And we had Nikki Haley lined up, and we had Senator Scott lined up, but they ended up having to go back to Washington, D.C. So we had Chris Christie here, and we actually held it in Salt Lake.
Okay.
We wanted to catch him on the way home from the airport, or on the way to the airport. That evening, one of the evenings. And so it was a great idea that we could have all the Park City people and all the Salt Lake people. And people came from a long ways away.
Yeah.
They wanted to know who these candidates were. They wanted to know who was viable. and I thought it was pretty successful. What I would like to know from your opinion, Taylor, is you have a ton of experience in these down ballot races, and you're very involved in these. Do the presidential candidates raising a certain amount of money, does any of that money trickle down?
No, that's a really good question. I don't think it does necessarily. It's an interesting dynamic, right? Because presidential elections have a huge impact on turnout down ballot. A little less so, frankly, now that Utah has done away with straight ticket party voting.
Yeah.
And so
Great point.
that forces voters in Utah to go down the ballot and choose candidates in each race rather than being able to go in and vote a straight party ballot. We saw a huge impact back in 2016 when Donald Trump first ran for president. We still had straight party voting back then. That had a huge impact all the way down the ballot. That was a lot less so in 2020 without that straight ticket voting. So it still has an impact on turnout, but in terms of fundraising, listen, presidential candidates take their money and they run. And they don't spend it here in Utah in our market as much, right?
Neither candidate will. Democrats are not viable here. They're not going to get the electoral votes, and Republicans know they already have them.
That's right. What I do think is likely to happen, though, is if you're a Democrat in Utah, particularly in a Salt Lake County-wide race where you're facing a competitive Republican, or you're in a swing legislative district in Salt Lake County, for those Democratic candidates, a lot of donor money is not going to go to down ballot races. It is going to go to President Biden.
Yeah.
And it is going to go to,
which is pretty frustrating for the local party.
That's exactly right. But the state Democratic Party really struggles to bring money into the party. And instead, that money, especially from large donors and mostly Park City donors, right, that can bundle, that can max out, multi-cycle, that money goes outside.
And they have all these rules on the federal side. So
That's
it's actually pretty difficult to give a lot of money on the federal side.
It is.
But you can give as much as you want to a down ballot candidate.
That's exactly right. And I think disproportionately that negatively impacts Democratic donors and Democratic candidates here in Utah. Republican candidates tend to take full advantage of Utah's
no caps.
Well, I like it because I'm a big fan of transparency. And anytime you have limitations, you just end up paying people like me to find ways around them. And that's not always the best solution, right, Adam? So anyway, we will continue to cover that story going forward and how presidential fundraising has an impact on Utah politics. Coming up next, Adam, we have to talk about the Olympics and the politics of the Olympics coming back to Salt Lake City, what that means for